When the K-Reel arrived, there were no massive ships in orbit, no energy blasts, no towering machines rolling across cities. Instead, they came as whispers, quiet and unseen, like the mold that grows behind a wall, thriving in the darkness. Earth's people had no idea they were being conquered. It began with the satellites. In late 2039, tech companies noticed strange patterns in orbital data, minor fluctuations in GPS precision, satellites drifting by fractions of degrees, and encrypted signals piggybacking on communication arrays. At first, human engineers blamed solar activity, perhaps even a new form of cyber sabotage from a rival nation. But governments couldn't trace the source. The K-Reel had been watching humanity for centuries, intrigued by their fierce resilience, primitive courage, and most of all, their unshakable defiance. Other species had crumbled under psychic manipulation or bio-nanite infiltration. But humans were stubborn, violent, creative in their madness. The K-Reel didn't want a war. They wanted compliance. A smooth, invisible occupation. So they studied Earth's systems, its weaknesses, not in military might, but in psychology, culture, and economics. Phase 1 was subtle. They infiltrated algorithms, social media platforms, recommendation engines, and advertising networks. Without a single ship landing, they nudged humanity's attention. Content was subtly altered. Memes promoted apathy. Influencers unknowingly spread messages of distraction. Don't worry, nothing matters. Trust the system. Stay safe, stay compliant. Depression rates rose. Birth rates fell. Global trust in leadership crumbled. Polarization intensified. No one noticed the invisible hand tugging at the threads. By 2042, humanity had stopped looking up. Then came the biotech. Pharmaceutical companies began receiving untraceable blueprints for miracle drugs. Patches that healed wounds in minutes. Pills that boosted brain function. Implants that synced neural activity with digital assistance. These leaks appeared as anonymous uploads, quickly gobbled up by eager corporations, desperate for an edge. They were gifts, Trojan horses. Those who used the tech gradually felt calmer, more obedient, less curious. Over time, their creativity dulled. Resistance faded not by fear, but by fog. Free will became a suggestion rather than an instinct. No armies landed. No shots were fired. And yet, by 2047, the K-Reel had embedded themselves into every major institution, corporate, political, educational. Their agents, cloned in perfect human likeness, walked among the elite. They didn't command. They guided. To most, life seemed normal. Better, even. Violence had dropped. Poverty declined. But so had ambition. So had art. No new revolutions. No breakthroughs. Just quiet obedience. But humanity had one flaw the K-Reel had underestimated: outliers. One of them was Lieutenant Reza Khan, a former aerospace engineer turned rebel. He'd always felt something was off. His colleagues stopped asking questions. Scientific journals became bland, repeating the same safe ideas. His sister, once a fierce political activist, now spent her days watching feel-good streams and taking her focus pills. Reza dug deeper. He found patterns. Corporate board members with no paper trails. Patents filed in languages that didn't exist. Neural implant codes written in logic trees that defied human design. And he wasn't alone. A scattered group, calling themselves the Signal, had pieced together fragments of truth. Journalists, hackers, rogue scientists, even artists. All unmodified, all immune to the influence either by genetics, trauma, or sheer stubbornness. They formed a plan. Reza's team developed a resonance disruptor designed to interfere with the biosignals that lulled humanity. If deployed correctly, It could trigger a global awakening, a painful, chaotic, human jolt. The cost would be high. Panic. Riots. But freedom, Reza believed, was worth discomfort. On March 7, 2050, they broadcast the disruptor's pulse from the Himalayas, one of the few places untouched by the K-Real's neural network. For 11 minutes, Earth remembered. Office workers collapsed, gasping. Artists screamed and wept, visions pouring into their minds. Children sobbed, asking why the world had felt like a dream. In military bunkers, modified generals clutched their heads, the K-Real implants spasming and burning out. And the K-Real, they felt fear for the first time in 1,000 years. Because humans didn't just wake up. They fought back. Within weeks, pockets of rebellion ignited across the globe. Neural clinics were raided. Signal jammers were deployed in every major city. People destroyed their implants with homemade EMPs. Underground networks distributed the real history, the unaltered truth. The K-Real tried to respond, tried to twist minds again, but the veil was broken. In their arrogance, they had underestimated the very thing they had tried to suppress: humanity's chaos, its unpredictability, its refusal to stay down. By 2053, the K-Real abandoned Earth, not in defeat, but in terror. Not because humanity had superior weapons, but because it had something the K-Real couldn't process: the fire of defiance. The invisible conquest had failed, and as Earth rebuilt, not just its cities, but its spirit, humanity vowed never again to let its freedom be stolen by silence.